Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well tonight. We're back for more UPL Rainbow Six. My name is Sticula. Joining me here is Corback. Man, are you ready for these games?
Looking forward to yet another edition of UPL, another week in the book here, Stick, and it promises to be, I think, an interesting one at least. Probably because I'm not using the right microphone. I'm sorry, I was super low there for a second, but I think I should be okay now. Looking forward to it, Stick. Going to be an interesting one this week.
Yeah, we do have a couple of big matches to look forward to as far as the first one of the evening here. It's Rob Gaming, LLC, taking on Candace, which is sure to be a bit of a spectacle of siege, to say the least. Going over some of the rosters just to get a better picture of who is actually playing today. Out in the match, we have on Rob Gaming's side, Wi-Fi, David, Brid, Maniac, and Mean Tortilla. Over on Candace's side, that's Joe, Faded, Junior, Matt Bonger, and Oreo. So Candace have actually got a little bit of Challenger League fame on their side. The only player not actually having played inside of CL as of yet being Matt Bonger, who has actually made it fairly close in a couple of his CL qualifier runs. You look over on Rob Gaming, you've got a couple of mainstay players from that sort of T3 ecosystem, largely being Wi-Fi, who's been around for a very long time, Maniac as well, having a few stunts on the Prism roster, thinking about how he played on Survey Core as well a little bit there. And then you've got David, who I actually haven't been able to cast in a decent chunk of time, thinking back to where I particularly remember him from. I think he played for Akara Gaming, which was like, oh my gosh, it's getting almost like a year now in the old archive. And you've also got Brett as well, who played for, I think he played for the Droolers, which was a team that was in like AEL, like season 2 or something like that. Either way, that's all of the players out of the way. We do have Clubhouse as that map, which should be, I don't know, it's Clubhouse, so we kind of don't really have too much craziness going on. We didn't get any funky stuff in the ban phase.
No, not in this particular matchup. It's all going to be a bit sort of tried and true, isn't it, when you go over to Clubhouse? A bit hackneyed, really, if we're being honest. But it is a map that I quite like. I mean, I think it is a very well-designed map for what it is. It's just unfortunately, right, even the most well-designed thing, if you have to use it over and over and over again, will eventually grow to be a bit boring. So there's not much to be said, really, on that front. The only interesting thing I will say about this map, Stigula, is that I feel like recently there's been a bit of a change around CCTV room where that kind of used to be a guaranteed, very solid defensive site. And more lately, I feel like we're losing some of that. So that's something to keep an eye on here as we get started going into our operator bans.
Yeah, that second floor objective has lost a decent amount of its pizzazz recently, and so you started to see the offense start to get a bit of a leg up, and that's also what it's done. It's kind of reined in some of the more defender-sided nature that Clubhouse saw in, 3 or 4 metas past. It's become a little bit more even in terms of the playing ground, not so close to Oregon. But even Oregon itself, man, is starting to kind of shift a little bit better towards the offense and not be such a defensive holdout. You've got Maverick as that first veto here. Probably the Habana to follow it up. Of course, that's Candace's choice for the offense and the defense coming up next as they begin on the attack. They've got the inner bands here, and it is that Habana who gets taken away. For my final 2 predictions, I'd probably say this is going to be like maybe Cade, Valkyrie, but you do have Thatcher left up on the board, which is actually a bit of an interesting quirk. Yeah. We don't get a lot of times that we cast Clubhouse where Thatcher is actually let through. And so, for all the drawbacks, it's probably the 12th time we've had Clubhouse this season for UPL. We do get to cast Clubhouse with Thatcher. So, hey, that's the silver lining going on there.
Yeah, it's really actually quite interesting that they've left Thatcher here available. I mean, taking Maverick out of the pool first is a bit of a statement ban considering how much he does get used on this map, but leaving Thatcher in play is kind of crazy to me, and we'll see Valkyrie get taken out here as well, so not too surprising there, but 2 huge attacking operators being left in contention, which is Flores on one hand and then Thatcher on the other. You also still have the option for Kaid in here as well. He did not get banned out. You often see him go, but I guess with the lack of the Hibana and kind of the lack of the Maverick, perhaps in particular, he didn't feel the need to bring him as much. But we'll see what their defensive setup is here coming out of the side of Rob Gaming as they get started on CCTV cash, and they will bring the Kaid into action here, at least temporarily. Kid Maniac showing us Bandit might be 6 picked off, but no, it looks like he's considering sticking with it, and they're actually going to swap the Kaid out instead. That is an interesting choice. I'll put that one in the bottle of interesting choices right there.
Yeah, if I had to pick one of these operators for there to be the 6th pick of, I definitely don't think it would have been the guy who wants to get a few quick looks at how that 1.5x optic plays on the new MX4. But thinking about a few other things, a part of this setup, Candace, of course, they don't have the Maverick, so the hard breaching process could have a couple of roadblocks, especially if Maniac is going to play at the Bandit trick just there close up at the wall. One thing that you might see as a result of that is perhaps maybe Oreo and Junior go over to the CCTV window, try to burn the ADS, and then chuck in a nade to displace Maniac. The other options, I suppose you could take, would be sticking Matt Bonger just there on the drone hole outside the main breach, and then having him use his lifeline concussion grenades, which of course will actually disable the Bandit's animation mid-progress. That's usually the way that we'll see the offense try to circumvent the Bandit trick if they're not doing something else like going below, nading over through the window, or ignoring the wall altogether.
You can also just kill him. with impacts from below, which I have seen happen before in this exact same scenario. I mean, obviously, Bandit tricking the wall on CCTV is as old as time itself, really, in terms of siege stuff, but it is very dangerous if you can swing somebody down below through that secret room and just kind of put a couple of grenade up underneath when you know that you have to kind of pin that Bandit in place. You can very easily kill him, but you'll see the Maverick trick coming out already right here. Kid Maniac trying to pull that one off. I think might just have done it. No, they will get the hard breach on the left-hand side, so the Bandit trick will not avail them now. They'll throw out another Selma here to get this even more open, and that is CCTV wall done and dusted.
A pretty classic way to just overwhelm the Bandit there with having the Aces Selmas detonate on the left side and then your Thermite go for the right side. That way the Bandits just got to kind of choose. And do I want the Selma hole or do I want the exothermic hole? You went for the Selmas, managed to trick both of them, or rather got the exothermic, but the Selmas ended up detonating anyway. And then, of course, we see a little bit of follow-up there from Joe as well, which is going to push the Bandit away from the wall. Make sure that he is not continuing on with the tricking. Otherwise, on the map, you do have a bit of a skirmish going on for control of the master bedroom. One of the defenders sort of walking up and having a bit of a statement gunfight against the other player. That's Matt Bonger, and the rest of the offense sort of just funneling in for map control. Wi-Fi has got the opening pick with a bit of a vertical extension below. Loving this play with the shield and a couple of the Alibi and her hologram gadgets, making sure that the offense always have to think twice about what they're shooting at.
Yeah, Alibi kind of swarming back into the game, really, of late with the recent change, giving her a better sight. But it's Kid Maniac who gets a pick right there, and Candace is down 2 members now here on the attack. Now, they do have Oreo in a position where he can get this exothermic off, but they have to be very careful. Kid Maniac tries to swing for another one, and Oreo will get him back. Unfortunately, now down to a 4v2. They'll pop the exothermic on the wall. Faded is down as well, so it's all on Oreo here, swinging into cash room, and, well, the expected result. Tons of gunfire. Just rips him apart at the door.
Well, it's the defense who walk away with the win on CCTV in round number 1, bucking any possible trends that we were talking about earlier with maybe the offense having a bit of better luck on this site as we go around. Rotation to gym and bedroom for the second look, and wow, Candace having a bit of a rough start. Thinking back to sort of how their form has looked so far, I've noticed Candace play with a lot of subs. It's hard to really pin down their roster so far. They gave a pretty close-up fight to Chess Club, walking back to week number 1. That was a 4-7 result, which was honestly a fairly close game. And Candace are looking like one of the better teams so far in kind of challenging some of those more serious teams like Chess Club, like 9-3, and looking across conference to some of the other important results. But also coming into week number 2, Candace played versus Syntax and the 8-6 Syntax, which is like, okay, it's a points win, but it does kind of harm your round differential. And to be perfectly honest with you here, Corbeck, I wouldn't expect that game to go into overtime.
No, I wouldn't.
It's all good, Corbeck. We are still in the process of recovering a few things back here in the production space, but thinking forward to the game, we'll have a cache side extension with a little bit of a different look of maybe some of you eagle-eyed viewers have spotted it. One of the walls just facing there over towards CCTV has actually been left soft, and I think a few holes opened into it, so the offense are going to have a bit of a rough time trying to set up. You've got a surrogate there defending one of the rafters windows and a mute jammer to obstruct progress on the hard breach in front. Make sure that wall does not get opened up. Matt Bonger will entry in from garage, spots the Malusi, rather that's actually Alibi David, who will fire away, making great use of that new optic and the potential for the ranged threat coming out of the MX4. Hard breach now having been successful. Somehow the mute jammer was cleared off of the wall and the opening has been made, but you can sense the hesitancy here from Candace. They know that they can't really just walk into CCTV. They've got to get a little bit of an extra pick, find some purchase off the back of perhaps the Aruni holding close at this wall here to, of course, avenge the earlier death of Matt Bonger. Oh, it's a rough manage there. Oreo tries to work through for a hero play. Joe does get the trade back, though.
He does indeed, and Junior will get one more pick here as well. Wi-Fi will fall, and now a 3v3 situation. Still haven't really cut through this first sort of barricade, right, that they have to get through. Mean Tortilla there playing in construction, firing a couple of shots off from the SMG-11, just to let him know that he's there and he's looking. Joe trying to do the exact same thing on the other side. That's David playing up on the back of the stairs here with the Alibi, who it looks like it's going to be a regular feature. Mean Tortilla forced to fall back. No real choice there. David going for a wide roam. Brid now trying to hold out a logistics. He'll pull back as well and really stick. They're trying to circle the wagons here to a certain extent, start pulling people back towards the gym master bedroom sites.
Got a bit of a Selma detonation opening up that route to push in from logistics side. 3 versus 3. The offense could have potential to wrench this one back as Joe will explode onto David. Brid is playing a bit of a dangerous dance. The nade rolls by in front of him and Junior will swing. Headshot capitulates the gold position. Joe now trying to put the case down. Prone angle spotted out, and Junior is taken off the board. Joe will hop off the plant. He gets his gun up and into the fight, and well, that'll be enough to put Candace across the line as they can convert in the 3 versus 3 scenario with site control and the plant threat. And that'll be the offense, tying us up at 1-1.
Yeah, that CCTV, that gym bedroom site can be a bit of a difficult beast, right? I mean, there's a reason why it kind of used to be the go-to sort of tertiary bomb site on this map, and sometimes it gets you just as much as you get it. I mean, they did a good job layering their defense there, trying to hold back, right? You want to delay time coming in through CCTV cache, then in through construction, and continue to just waste as much as you can, but unfortunately, not really manifesting there. They'll head down to Church Arsenal this time. Tachanka making an appearance here. Brid bringing it out. Kid Maniac swapping over to the Malusi, and a Legion coming here as well for Rob Gaming. So a bit of an interesting defensive setup. The Tachanka, that's an interesting choice. I mean, he does have a shield now. He's got 14 Shumikas. I believe they upped the damage of his LMG as well, so it does a little bit more to walls. It can be used for that kind of destruction if you want to. I still don't know if I'd bring him over Smoke, but I guess you can bring both of them together, and either one of those operators is going to be capable of holding that tunnel, which I assume will probably be on the back of Mean Tortilla. That's usually where your Smoke wants to be.
10 seconds to insertion.
It's curious that you get both Tachanka and the Smoke here. It's
Yeah,
definitely
they do the
not
same
something
thing.
I'm not... Right, it's... I mean, thinking about just for the basement hold, I guess it works. Especially for the Tachanka, who is a little bit more versatile with the deployment of his area denial. Because when you think about the Smoke, you know, you toss one out, it's kind of one and done. You know, maybe you send another one in to follow it up, but Tachanka can be a little bit more sort of dynamic in the way that he uses this gadget. In some maps where it's very plant-focused, I've noticed, had a few ranked games on Bank, especially like down in that bottom floor bomb site, the Tachanka can be great to deny the plants, which we could see a situation like that here, but my one concern is that Tachanka would be helpful in like an Arsenal plant situation, but pretty rare to have an Arsenal plant go down without the offense actually just knowing that the whole of Arsenal is clear. Yeah. That's just kind of a decision you're not going to take because it's so risky. For the same reason, you know, somebody could be tossing nitros, running over towards you to try to shoot you while you're in the plant animation. It's just pretty risky overall, and talk about a risk. David lingers inside the blue hall for a little bit too long, and he gets capitalized there by Matt Bonger, putting Candace up in an early lead after picking off Wi-Fi on that opening.
Yeah, a little too bold, a little too brave right there. That was really a difficult gunfight to win. Anybody who's had to play that angle kind of knows how hard it is to be a defender firing up those secret stairs like that, but they'll just continue to do destruction work here. The impact trick coming out from Kid Maniac. I don't think that succeeded. I'm pretty sure I still heard the actual thermite go off, and it looks like it did. So that impact must have just been in the wrong place at the wrong time. A 3v5 situation here for defenders. They still have their area well, no, they did have their area denial operators, but then they lose Joe. And that's Kid Maniac clapping back immediately to take him out. It's still a 2v4 situation here, not too bad for them. Oreo adding another one as Meat Tortilla goes down, and there's Kid Maniac caught out in blue and burned. And a very rapid end here to this basement defense.
Yeah, I was going to say, that accelerated very quickly right about the end. We didn't even get to talk about the execute. You know, I was excited. I was saying, you know, we're going down to the basement. It's a horizontal execute with Selma's on a church, but Candace just picked that one up and strike back with a little bit of momentum now, 2 rounds in a row. Rob Gaming trying a few different things as far as where their strat book is, but only having worked on that initial first defense. Go down to Church and Arsenals. It looks like we might be having this next round be accompanied by a bit of a sort of SSG-esque roam. You've got your typical faces, the Castle, the Mozzie, the Mute, all of those people. And then Legion as well is fairly common to see. Probably have a couple of goo mines tossed down there inside dirt. I'd be really curious if Candace try to execute a dirt rush, seeing that Rob Gaming are playing the SSG full hold.
Yeah, that's always the problem, right, with this particular setup is you do extend out and you kind of run into the challenge, right, of somebody just running it straight up the gut, and I've seen it happen on this map plenty of times enough to know that there are definite perils to running this strat. But the thing that actually worries me a little bit seeing in this situation is that you've not really had, you know, a team that's winning their ones. You're not necessarily the gun skill team here up against this Candace roster, and, you know, as much as this is a roamer setup, it does require some of these roamers to really be able to win their gunfight. So you're putting a lot of pressure on these guys on the upper floors to win against these members of Candace, and I just don't know that that's guaranteed. It's a bit of a risk. I guess that being said, right, it's better to sort of experiment with different strategies. Your tight hold with denial didn't really work, so give it something else and see what sticks. But I'm not going to say that I have particularly high hopes for this defensive setup on the side of Rob Game.
Doesn't seem like there will be a rush here from Candace. They're going to try to just go full across the map. Figure it out. Junior.
That's not great. I told you so.
Yikes. Yeah, well, if you're going to play this, you kind of have to make that decision. Is Wi-Fi going to take his fight, or is he going to peel back? Goes for the former, and it's going to cost him, but Maniac will sort of move up into a void space in the intel net here, but look at that reverse repel. So ginger from Oreo. He'll actually rotate off of it, and a goo mine sent up. Just a little bit of a notification there from Maniac. I'm watching that angle.
Just letting him know. Sends him a little missive. Right, sends him a message. Joe getting some early shots there on David. Can't actually finish it off. Great fire coming back from David and Britton. They're out to prove me wrong here, Stick, because they're actually winning their gunfight this time. And it's just Faded and Oreo left now. And this is not how I thought this was going to go. But after the initial clash, at least, Rob Gaming really tightening up their aim and doing a good job. Oreo going to go ahead and drone out the top of secret stairs right there and maybe get into storage room as Faded comes rolling up here as well on the drone. Brit all the way back on site, and they've done a pretty good job of circling their wagons here, if I'm honest. This is one thing that a lot of teams do struggle with in this comp is when you start drawing people back. Well, they've done that, and they don't even really need to here in the 4v2, but Oreo's going to try and push down towards blue. Still has a couple of grenades left. Would take a pretty impressive feat for him to pull this off because he's getting watched from multiple angles at once. He will swing the door. The shots come out, and he is ripped apart in a cavalcade of gunfire right there, and that just leaves Faded.
Pretty much a perfect play by the defense there at the blue hall. They knew that Thermite was going to try to make a play. The flashbang sort of gave that story away. As he moved up the crossfire angles, Maniac will get a little bit too eager to peek there at the moto door. Loses his life and puts Fade in 1 kill closer for the experienced player in this lobby coming off their smoke break. But it's that tough angle to fight. Just Brid. The deep fight there from the back of Arsenal. Waits for the player to round the corner. Takes him down, and the defense will bring us back to equal. The SSG roam, it looked a little bit odd and I dare say ugly at the start, but wow, they brought it back very quickly.
They did really well. I'm willing. I'm big enough to admit when I was wrong. I didn't think that was going to work out just based on what we'd seen previously. They didn't look like they really had it in them, but they did a spectacular job there. I mean, you think of David winning that kind of long range gunfight against Joe. That was beautiful, really well played. And you've got to credit as well, Kid Maniac and Wi-Fi. They were playing great. Wi-Fi taking those kind of more aggressive stances, and they did a really good job overall in actually closing down on the enemy team. And then they had the good sense, right, to come back to the point when they needed to tighten it up and wait on those crossfire angles to just ensure picks in that 4v2 scenario. They didn't kind of get in over themselves. So much credit to them on running that. They looked really good. And if they have to go back down there again, I wonder if we wouldn't see that a second time, or third time, I guess, on the bomb side, second time on the defensive setup as we go back to CCTV. And they have brought Maniac again on the Bandit. Now this one I am gonna again take a little bit of umbrage with here, Stick, because this did not work at all last time. This was not a particularly great plan. I mean, you did win this site if I remember correctly, but it was a near run thing. I mean, we were inches away from disaster, and really it looked like Candace had done a pretty good job of getting things opened up. It was just at the end of the day they couldn't quite pick the lock from the horizontal side. So I still don't know about Bandit. I'm still this sus. I don't know.
Looked like Mean Tortilla was thinking about a play from the window there, or it will encounter a mute jammer. Candace is going to approach this perhaps with a little bit more presence inside garage on the round. Exothermic has eventually been detonated after the mute jammer was cleared in from the offense. Joe applying a little bit of pressure from out on the window, making sure that the lounge extension, which was played last time we went to this site, is not exactly fully comfortable. Oreo now with the Exothermic. Bandit will go down. Looks like he does manage to get the Selmas, but Maniac has to peel off. Just a little bit of a timing jig and reel there for him to get both, and frankly, I've never seen it happen before, so can't blame Maniac for not being able to pull it off this time around. Another set of the Selmas will go through, and they've actually opened up a segment of the wall here. An impact trick will be played, but David launches out his impact just a little bit too far, and now this is a tough spot to be in. David under a massive amount of pressure at the bottom of the ocean, still trying to play just from R2. The one bit of confidence that he can have here is he knows Wi-Fi is playing below for him inside the bottom of the garage, so the only real angle he's got to worry about right at this distinct moment is coming in from that main breach, but Faded has gone down. No clue where that must have came from, the master windows or something like that, but somebody needs to come up and try to res him back into the fight. David is going huge inside the garage. He finds Junior, shuts down the Iana, taking away any remaining frags that she had, and he also gets Joe, who'd already accomplished, you could say, most of his objectives in the round, but you know, having him alive with that AK-12 would still be valuable in a situation where Candace have yet to even find a single frag.
How are they getting away with How are they getting away with this? You were right. Look at that, a flawless round coming out at the end of that. Beautiful from the defenders. And genuinely, I mean, you were 100% correct. It was such a difficult situation for everybody involved right there on the defensive side. They got that CCTV wall open. They had a nasty sightline coming in there to pressure the garage setup and just steely nerved gunplay. I mean, if he's under pressure at the bottom of the ocean, I don't know, call him a giant squid or something, whatever dominates down there on the ocean floor, because he's not to be trifled with in that scenario. He did great to hold on to that. And you know what? Weirdly, that went very similar to the last CCTV defense, which is initially with getting the wall open, kind of getting the initial positioning, they did a really solid job. And then just kind of everything went weird, a little bit sideways there as they pushed in. And I mean, it also kind of, I think, shows you, right, Stick, the danger of pushing hard onto the CCTV wall without adequately securing that kind of garage area first. Because even if you have a good good sightline, even if you can kind of keep pressure on the defender who's playing up in Raptors there, you cannot discount them. They are always a threat until they are dead, and if you don't remove them, you can run into situations very much like that.
So Candace having a bit of trouble. That CCTV round just a bit of a tough one to look back on. Not a lot of luck for them, especially in the engagements category, with Rob actually picking up the first flawless of the match so far. Got a Jim. Last time we went here, we talked about it as sort of that kind of a 3v3 skirmish as Candace moved in to take control of the site, and Rob tried to fight back. Didn't work too well. With the Mira being banned, it is a little bit more difficult to hold control of logistics. You can't just set a Mira up in sort of that red position there, sort of by logistics wall, hold that off, and then prevent the offense from getting in. Usually the win condition in that situation would be just hold the attack off for long enough inside of the cache hold, but the way that Rob are playing it is a little bit different. It's a bit more aggressive in the way that they've deployed the strategies with the holes open in the wall. I've seen that from, I think it's Chiefs. I think that's how Chiefs play it in APAC. They'll usually open up a segment of that wall because it allows them to kind of deny the attacker from even stepping foot inside CCTV, which did cause a couple of issues. You'll remember last time for Candace, who pushed forward there. But they managed to dominate it anyway after a certain period of time.
He's just all over the place, blowing things up. Good on him. Manages to get another one down right there. Obviously, Kaid will keep that electric field up for a little bit longer. The electric wand not destroyed in the ensuing explosion. Matt Bonga trying to get a bit of a different angle here as well, as Junior goes for the shield destruction there, just trying to open this site up a little bit. Mean Tortilla in a difficult gunplay scenario right there, pushes right up to the breach. Very bold indeed, hunting for that pick, but not quite finding it. It's Kid Maniac instead, who strikes early on, getting Junior down. It's traded back out. Joe waited patiently on that balcony around the jacuzzi and got the pick, but Kid Maniac strikes again. It's Matt Bonger who's down, and now Joe is engaged in yet another long-range, kind of awkward, unseen gunfight, but he'll peel back just here for a second. Faded, unfortunately, giving the position away. Need to be very careful with that. Is very vulnerable out there, just outside those windows. The swing out, that's absolutely filthy from Kid Maniac to go ahead and just jump out the window and secure that kill. Does it again, because why not?
Yeah, of course, he's got to send it out there to get the final kill to secure it before one of his teammates has got a chance to steal it. The round will eventually wind down, and another one where Candace kind of have a bit of difficulty finding footing for the execute, like any kind of platform at all there. They went for the hard breach, they got the CCTV wall open, they got jacuzzi open, but Rob continued to swing pretty aggressively, worked in some cases, was shut down in others, but as we pull away from round number 6, it's clear Rob take it on the gym defense and will preserve that 4-2 advantage we usually expect from that first half defense run. We'll see what Candace can bring to the field on their defense now as they'll step to gym and bedroom, ignoring CCTV on the first look here and giving us a taste of that tertiary bomb site once again.
I'll be honest with you, Stig. I'm impressed. I didn't expect Rob Gaming to come out swinging like this. I think they've played maybe 2 or 3 games in the UPL season. I think their record is 1-1 right now, or 1-2. They're not like particularly a spectacular squad from what I know. And they're really giving Candace a bloody nose here, giving them a hard time. And I have to say, it's genuinely quite impressive. And I appreciate the confidence they're showing in their play as well, taking those aggressive gunfights on the defense, no real hesitation. They've got their feel for the map, and they're really happy to just sort of drive it home and try and get score some points on the back of Candace here. But switching over on the defensive side, this might be what Candace needs to kind of right the ship, settle things down just a little bit. And it's interesting to me too that both these teams seem a little basement phobic, right? They don't want to go down there. They're afraid of the monsters or something, because they're starting off on gym bedroom as well. It's been a lot of gym bedroom on this clubhouse map, which I can't say is really the norm, is it?
No, not really, but the one thing I'll say is Jim Bedroom is kind of like the responsible stepfather of CCTV bomb sites at the moment, because CCTV is so inconsistent. You know, you don't ever know when it's going to be home or when it might be away, so Jim Benjamin has got to step in as that foundation. EMP will go down. It denies the mute jammer, and so the wall will open up with relative ease from Mean Tortilla, but a big nitro cell faded. Launches it up to the logistics hatch, and it'll collect and clap back against Maniac, which is a very valuable opening pick. We've seen Maniac have serious impact in some of these rounds, maybe situations where Rob Gaming don't stand much of a chance. Maniac is getting kills that garner a lot of serious momentum. Losing him is going to be a tough one to swallow, and as well, the nades as well here. You've only got one set in this composition, so the defense might be holding out in some of these sort of more isolated positions for a little while longer.
I mean, Oreo can just kind of bide their time. I don't think they've really been droned out. Oh, nope, there it comes through, so they will fall back there behind the weights and just stack up with a little bit of defensive positioning. It's not a particularly enviable spot to be in if you're Oreo right now. You really can't go to your left. You certainly don't want to peel out to your right if you're being watched. Wi-Fi now providing yet another angle, but Oreo makes it work. That's absolutely nasty. Pops up and gives the old Viking crew cut to Mean Tortilla right there, who's probably trying to figure out what just happened. Beautiful bit of shooting, and they're still trying to close down this angle into Jim from like 3 different directions, as Wi-Fi does manage to secure a pick here onto Junior.
Nudges one back. Oreo has yet to be displaced from inside Jim, though. Something that the offense have still got to pay peace of mind to. Looks like there's a defender atop main as well. David will jot down a claymore there just outside the construction window as Wi-Fi still sort of meandering here on the first floor. Eventually, Rob have got to make some type of play, otherwise Candace will be shortening their lead by a single round. Oreo plays from the prone. Surrey gate has been broken, and Oreo maybe feeling a little bit extra pressure now. Brid will actually walk forward, but that dual threat pressure not working so well against Oreo. The trade is in from David and Joe, taken out in the meanwhile as Wi-Fi certainly making a case here for Rob in the final dying seconds of this round. Starts to go huge, but he's just traded out by Matt Bonger, having a little bit of a highlight play himself, defending on the jump in, and that'll be the defense who do manage to sort of reel it back in for Candace.
Yeah, no, I think that was a matter of not really putting enough pressure on that construction cash room side in that particular circumstance. That's where Matt Bonger came in from, right? I think he was hovering over in construction, just kind of walked through the door and got those picks. I mean, you know, it was a good effort there to try and turn it aggressive. It was not shutting down construction and not taking care of Oreo. Again, I mean, Oreo kind of made their own fate there just a little bit, did a really good job shooting their way out of a very dangerous situation. You can't quite knock them for that, but it was surprising. Just a little bit of a lack of coordination, a little bit of lack of adequate attacking positions right there, and we will be down to basement. Candace choosing to go there before they go to CCTV. I can't blame them for that. CCTV with Thatcher in particular on the board is a little bit cursed, so try and avoid that if you can. They'll go ahead and start opening up some feet holes in the wall to blue, and I'm curious to see exactly how this defensive setup is gonna go. It looks very akin to that wide-ranging roam, and I think that might be what we see here, Stick. Joe looking perhaps to be the anchor point, though, you know, sometimes you would expect Oreo to be in that role as well.
5 seconds remaining.
Well, I don't know if you've played the new Siege mode they just added recently, but I was playing a little bit very late last night, and I queued into a game with Joe and Indy, and Joe mentioned that I should watch out for something that he calls the rotation station. Generally what that means is he's going to hop out a window and find a way back into the site, so, or just into the map in general. I think the area where I would expect that to go down would be from the main stairs window and into the freezer, so I'll be keeping my eyes on that. But hey-o, look at Maniac! He just comes rushing down the halls. I think they kind of recognize the site perhaps could be a little bit underdeveloped as Maniac will charge in, and Joe is left to try to play defense. Wi-Fi with the opening pick, playing a hailstorm of bullets, and Brit finds one as well, with Joe being felled and forced out of that corner. It's an easy pick-off. Brid tries to play for the case, but Junior denies it. However, caught mid-reload as he runs out of ammunition. It's only faded left as Rob Gaming are bearing down on this one. The SMG-11 will work him. One great pick on a David from inside blue as the diffuser will be picked back up. The case plant going to try to get it down once again, but Wi-Fi steely there from the back boxes.
good lord. Talk about efficiency. I mean, we did point this out when we saw this setup right on the other side. It is dangerous. You do run the risk of exactly that happening. If a team's just like, oh, we'll just smash straight in, there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, your roamers have to come back as fast as they can, but you really effectively turn yourself into more of an attacker and a defender than a defender at that point in time, and you can get righteously punished for it. And that's exactly what happened right there. They will not attempt that again. They will go up to CCTV cache, and credit again to Rob Gaming for the heads up play. They knew exactly what they needed to do to really dig the boot in right there and didn't hesitate to do it. They just sort of yeeted onto the site. I'm curious to see how they attack CCTV, because that was a very aggressive strategy, and I think that we've seen Rob Gaming show a propensity for those sort of aggressive attacking strategies over these last two sites. I wonder if they keep that sort of trend up and they really try and go in hard here on the CCTV wall, or maybe show us something a little bit more destructive towards Garage. I mean, it's not a particularly surprising attacking setup. It's all pretty standard. I mean, the defensive side is standard as well. I will be curious to see how they go about this one.
Definitely one of those moments where Rob went around that they pretty well need. Widens back that lead to where we were at the end of the first half with 2 rounds buffer. And a pretty important game, all things considered, here down in the Rogue Shield Conference, because Rob have not had a great season so far. Currently sitting at 6th position. You want to get a win here and put the points back in your column just a little bit, especially when you look at some of those more sort of top-level teams are starting to kind of run away with the season a little bit. Chess Club being currently 4-0. Junior will find the opener, though. It's Maniac who dies that opening death once again, having a bit of a slow second half for him. They're going to attempt the trick on the wall once again. EMPs are going to force him back, and wow, they actually managed to push Oreo off without him getting any of the hard breaching utility.
Yeah, no success there, akin to the other round that they had when Candace was attacking. They do manage to get him well away from that wall, and I mean, I think it's just showing how flimsy that wall really is as a defensive center for this map. You just can't rely on it anymore. In fact, you really have to strategize just assuming, right, that it's just not going to be there. Oreo holding that position, faded out in the Garage, but I mean, if you take a look at it, it's like no pressure really being applied to Garage yet. Genuinely, across the board, the horizontal pressure is lacking just a little bit as well. There's about 1 minute and 40 seconds left on the clock here as Mean Tortilla comes swinging in. Brit is trying to come in from logistics, so they are slowly rotating their hard breachers around, trying to get them up through master bedroom and into construction, and it's just taking them a little while to do this. And I mean, if they wait too long, they are going to be in serious danger of kind of running into a bit of a time crunch. The check down range, and it'll be Junior who strikes again, and now all your eggs are on this construction side push. You really have no choice, and Oreo's wise to it. Unfortunately, he puts the battery on the wrong side. Oh no, a 50-50 shot, and he called it wrong. David does manage to get a kill here in the meantime. The Thatcher in a position to cover down that angle, but it's going to be a wild and wacky last minute here in the 3v4 as David adds another one to the poll.
Well, at least giving his team a tiny amount of credence here, but Junior is going on a bit of a killing spree so far this round. Mean Tortilla on minimal HP. David will fire one back. Junior could be on for the ace. It's only the thermite left, and Junior will get all 5 here in that 10th round. Oh, what a huge one!
Oh, what an ace indeed. Keeps them in the fight as well. I mean, I think they had that well in hand, to be honest, but it was looking like it could run away from him just a little bit, but no, the denial very firm right there. Oh, you love to see it. You honestly do. Beautiful play, man. Give Alibi that new sign or whatever, and suddenly you've got no choice but to take it really seriously. It's a scary gun right there in the hands of a skilled player, being demonstrated for us in real time on that particular bomb site. That is a little bit of a kick in the teeth here, I think, for Rob. They have been doing pretty well, I'd say, overall in this match, so dropping to the ace right there certainly, I'm sure, stinks. That they'll have to bounce back. They'll go back to Jim Bedroom again, and the last time they were here, this one was just, a bit of a mistaken mistakes in applying pressure, let's say. They didn't trigger the right pressure points, not very good at, stereotypical Kung Fu master or whatever it is. They'll have to relearn things a little bit here and try it again. The defensive setup not really changing here at all, so I don't think there's going to be too much in their court for really trying to pick this one apart. It's more going to be how do we best attack this now that we know what to expect.
Well, to be honest, the last time we went here, I don't think Rob went particularly wrong in the way that they used their hard breach. It just felt like their angles were a little bit lackluster in some of the coverage that they had, and I think that could be seen as a larger symptom, perhaps, of them not having the most sizable map control. It felt like they were always a little bit weary when they were out there on the master balcony, or that highway position, as it's sometimes known. They were sort of worried about, where there might be a defender running out. Perhaps what that needs is extra claymores. You also need to make sure that you don't neglect control of CCTV, because you can't play from on highway without having somebody that's opened up the CCTV breach, because you'll probably have a situation like this where Matt Bonger approaches the window and he goes for a pre-fire, and if there were somebody from Rob trying to kill the players inside Master or Jim, that would have been a death for them.
Been it straight done and done. And I mean, you can understand why they were a little bit cautious when they're out there in that highway position. I would be too if it was me in that spot, but you got to take steps to sort of counteract it. That's sort of your job. Kid Maniac going to go ahead and throw some frag grenades in there, just trying to cause a little bit of havoc, trying to get a cheeky peek through the floor as well, but unfortunately lands on the other side of the toolbox and the mattress, which are apparently very sturdy, and will deflect the majority of that. Look at that nasty hole Oreo's trying to drill down there. Some real just filthy plays coming out of this side. Oreo was the one who got that beautiful headshot at a very kind of similar angle out towards that jacuzzi balcony on the last one as well. Faded backing up here, trying to reassert the defensive position behind the shield so that somebody is constantly covering down on that jacuzzi wall. And David gets a couple of shots to the leg there as Oreo is set up behind the weights again, doing a little bit more of an ambitious peek this time. And it looks like the defenders are a little bit more okay with letting him run, but it'll be Junior who gets yet another kill, adding more to the total. 12 on the round so far, Stick. A force of nature in this particular map.
Nitro sent up, but look at the follow-through from David. Tries to just drop down and capitalize on that pressure. Shotgun buckshot right into the side of Wi-Fi, and Joe will get the last two for Candace as he just pounds down into that hallway with the shotgun coming in huge. And gotta say, for Rob, another round where they attack the gym site but just struggle with applying pressure from multiple different directions.
Yeah, that's totally what it is. There's no pinch. The defenders don't feel pressured at all. They're kind of doing what they want. They're sort of rotating around in the bomb site, like, oh, hey, you want to take this shield? I'm going to go up to the weight rack. Yeah, no, just move on in. Or, I'll just come back out from Lachi and pop into the hallway with this shotgun and see what I can do. Why not? Well, you gotta love seeing 2 shotgun kills in a row, though. It's as gun as powerful as you believe it to be. So in that case, clearly the power being interpreted right there into shutting down any push coming up through the bedroom hallway. And back up to 5-5 now, and Rob Gaming struggling here on the offense. They showed some real vim and vigor over there on the defensive side, but they've just not been able to match as we finally go down here to basement. Now, it was a bit rough last time we were down here. It was a bit, a rush kind of caught them unaware. They're not setting up for that this time, though. There will not be wide range chrome. This is much more anchor heavy. You've got your smoke, you've got your maestro, you have Goyo to bring Volcan, so you have additional shields. It all speaks very highly of just playing a tight defense.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, and the only attack win that we've had here in the second half has been from Rob when they've rushed on Church. I feel like there is a little bit of explanation there. Rob are playing with, for my knowledge, 3 substitutes today. So, that does kind of make sense when you've got players who you probably don't practice with, and you only really know them from your experiences in ranked. Generally, you're not going to be able to get any crazy pinches, no dry runs or anything like that going into this match, I would presume. But for Candace, I think the same is also true. I think Candace have got quite a number of substitutes. Absent today from their starting roster is Hickser, Bales, and Phoenix, with I believe Junior, Oreo, and Matt Bonger being those players who have stepped in to substitute. So 3 substitutes across each of both sides. So you can't really make too much blame, but this could be a game that we see go into overtime. That's what I would presume, with the defense having kind of the better go of it so far, with I want to say like 7 rounds total, 1 so far against the attack. And the last time this game was even tied up remotely was back in round number 2.
Oh yeah, it could go the distance. I don't know though. I wonder if Candace just takes their defensive advantage and kind of runs away with it, but we'll see what they can muster. I didn't actually really think about how many subs there are here. She's renamed Clubhouse Subway at this stage, considering how many subs are on the field. Junior is feeling a little bit of pressure here over in church. Kind of has to back up off the now completely open wall, and then just steps out into the sightline of David, who more than happily takes Junior's head and sticks it on the stick. That's not very good right there. David's still playing in that position as well. Doesn't look particularly fussed in that spot at all. Oreo managing to even it back out. Vector coming in big there. Takes down Kid Maniac. And Oreo will get another one. Oreo's just a master of these evil off angles that teams do not expect. And he is just making absolute hay with them. And a series of explosions right there. Wi-Fi is down. Matt Bonger is down. And now a 2v3.
Decision to be made here for Brid. Looks like he is not going to revive his team, and he's just going to walk through the site. Got a red mark over by blue. Defender will sidestep into the angle, bringing this one just one tad bit closer. Brid now perhaps thinking about if he could manage to get the res off. But you're against the all the fade. It's on 100 HP. I'm sorry. I don't see him lose this one terribly too often. Crosses the angle. They get David back up, but look at this. Faded makes a huge play as he marches forward. They're inside church. It's likely they aren't going to be able to predict this, but Faded will give up the ghost on the first run. Oh, but they just line up for the Alda as Faded is going to tear right through them.
Oh, the power of the machine gun in the palm of your hand right there. Beautiful. Faded on that cheeky little play too. A sneaky little snake snuck up into church. They had no idea he was there, and he just swings the corner and unleashes hell at point blank range. And with their health as low as it was, there was nothing they could do. They were probably dead before they even knew what happened, if I'm being honest. And rough there for Rob Gaming as we push on to match point overall. Candace still with that defensive advantage, but they are back to CCTV cash, which has so far been a bit unstable as a defensive bomb site, but certainly winnable.
Just to roll back the tapes on CCTV as a site so far, last time we had it, and the only showing of it in the second half was in round number 9. The way that round went was actually fairly decent in the get-go from Rob. They opened up the main breach with ease. The bandit fell off. It looked like he was a little bit kind of anxious about trying to play for the trick, and so that ended up in a situation where they got the wall open without losing any hard breach utility whatsoever. Both the exothermic and the Selma managed to detonate, which gave them a huge breadth of angles to use. And then what we saw from there on, Rob had a bit of a rotation. They tried to work pressure from the master bedroom side, but they kind of just started to be slowly picked away at. I think from what I remember in that round, Junior had mustered the opening pick. He worked it against Maniac, who was actually gone, I think, like 3 or 4 rounds without getting a kill, which is not a great spot to be in here for Rob, especially how, Maniac was pretty large and in charge in the first half of this game, so for him to kind of slow down on the attack definitely is not a great sign. A little bit of a bad omen for Rob here, who are standing on match point for the CCTV round. They have to get this one under control. They need to work together, play cooperatively, otherwise this one could be over a little bit quicker than we might have been hoping.
Yeah, just got to unite, right? That's what it is. Pull together, teamwork, all that good stuff that they'll tell you in any sort of sports team you've ever played on. But we'll see if they can actually manage it, right? Easier said than done. Tortilla here going to go ahead and plant the old exothermic and begin the opening of the wall. It didn't look like there was going to be any Selma charge follow-up on that one, though. Grid not really in the general area, and Oreo just actually lets that go. So really, those bandit batteries feeling more like a gesture than any serious attempt at a hard defense. Matt Bonker is down here in garage as well. Meat Tortilla going to go for another detonation. Continue to open up walls. That time the exothermic taking out that bit of wall. Wi-Fi with a nasty angle there in through storage, but Matt Bonker is in a general position to maybe cause a little bit of havoc. Didn't think about Wi-Fi though, did ya? Back on the window with the LMG, goes ahead and gets a little bit of revenge there on Team Candace. Oreo, though, quick to trade it back, taking out Kid Maniac, who, as you said, Sick, has been such a destructive force, really slowed down here on this map.
That's a strong communication pick there onto Matt Bonker, who had a bit of a three-way crossfire developed on his position, but as you mentioned, Maniac taken down. You lose any hope of putting the Geminis into the site and gathering more intel, which is a bit of a scattered quantity here. You can see in the top left corner, only 5 drones remain. Somebody's got to have to put those to use. Grid's still waiting. 2 Selmas left in pocket. I think the best move for him right now would be to toss one there onto the rafters wall and try to develop that angle a little bit better. Junior playing in such a sneaky position here over by the bar, searching for pre-placed drones. He'll try to move forward, and I think he's just managed to sneak past. I don't think Mean Tortilla spotted him. No, he sure didn't, and Junior will fire up, but David is there instantly for the trade, putting us back at 3 versus 3. There's 30 seconds here. This is a big round. Candace, can they close it out on the defense? If they do, that means the game is over, but David's got something to say about it as he fires in from the staircase. Ooh, he's gonna misjudge one of the gadgets there from the alibi, and now the plant's coming down. The pressure certainly on. Oreo's going to launch a nitro out, but it does nothing to stop David's plant. 2 versus 2 with the case down and a massive amount of pressure on the shoulders of Candace here.
Faded's just come up the back stairs. They're trying to circle on this like a pack of wolves. Now they both come in from the stairs angle. The diffuser is right there. 30 seconds left on the clock. Has to be absolutely spectacular. David has peeled back into construction. Bridge trying to set up another angle to cover it down. Candace has found the diffuser. Faded continuing to hold that cash door. They've got 16 seconds left. Somebody's going to have to start going for the diffuse here, and they will do so. Oreo goes in. Faded knocks the first one.
Huge!
The second one he got Brid, and he wins it out. Beautiful stuff. The defenders come back around and steal that match point away.
4 rounds in a row. Candace are gonna steal it out as they make quick work. A 5-1 second half on their defense, and what a match to watch. One that ends in regulation in a game that was just on top of all things in that match. Rob having a difficult time in their hard breaching game there at the end. As soon as I noticed the double wall going into construction was left reinforced, I kind of realized, you know, that's a situation that can go wrong very quickly when the attackers are trying to play from outside, when they don't work together, when they try to push back in. I've seen that situation go sour so many times for the offense, and even though they have the plant down because they forfeit control of the site, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And unfortunately, the way that they play that, it's passive. It's on match point. I'm sorry, quarterback, you cannot play like that on a match point situation. If you wanted to keep the game going, you got to take it to the defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a bit difficult, right? Like, it was a good effort from Rob on the defense. They did some okay stuff on the attack, but really, the attack just kind of betrayed them. And you saw kind of maybe the quality, the individual sort of game sense and strength of those players coming out on their side of Candace, just happily kind of going along, knew exactly what they needed to do, and some very good defensive coordination there. But we're not done here today at UPL. Another match coming your way. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Rainbow Six action after this break. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to UPL. It's more Rainbow Six here for you. Surf Academy taking on Revenge Nation. I am Corbeck, joined here in the casting booth by Stick. And, well, our last game had some fight in it over there on Clubhouse Stick, but now new teams stepping up to the plate. And unfortunately, this one might not be as close as the last one we just watched.
Yeah, this is a bit of an underdog story thinking to the match so far and how both of these two teams have played. Revenge Nation have been a hot pistol in a lot of their recent footage so far, thinking to the SFCL qualifiers. They have been one of the best teams that I've seen come out of T3 recently and are looking like a serious competitor here in this league. Definitely one of the teams making it into the postseason, no doubt whatsoever. Their opponents, Surf Esports Academy, are a little bit more of an unknown quantity, but I wouldn't be too quick to count them out from what I know. They can certainly show up on game day, and Pinto has had a lot of really shocking performances that I've seen from him. So, as much as this game might be a bit of a tilt when you've got Revenge Nation on the other side, Surf could still stand a chance, especially when Revenge Nation, it's a regular season game and they might not be going too crazy.
Yeah, it's true. They might not be going too hard, right, in the paint. They could be saving up some of that, but let's take a look at where they will be going here over to the map bands, and we'll get an idea of what we have awaiting us. And I have peaked, so I have peaked, so I know what it will be, and it will be Chalet.
Oh, this is going to be a bit of an interesting one. We don't get to cast Chalet terribly too often. Of course, that's Clubhouse band first, and Oregon following up from Revenge Nation, so they're really doing us a veritable service here in the casting booth as they get rid of all of the boring maps, and they give us one that is relatively fun. Revenge Nation, I don't think this is their first time playing the map. If I'm thinking back, I think I casted them earlier in the season on this map in particular. Just quickly checking, I think it was actually the week 1 game that they played versus In Control Nation that took place on this map. That was a 7-5. Thinking to their record so far, Revenge Nation are 3-0, which they actually have a chance here to move up another spot. If they can make this match into a win, that's going to put them at 4-0. Currently the only team who are undefeated so far up in that Raven Shield group. If you look down in Rogue Spear, that's Chess Club, their only team that you can even compare them to so far. But we are just ready to get into the match, so we will be jumping over to the French Alps as we get into Chalet.
Well, it should be a bit of an interesting match on Chalet, right? One of the maps that we don't get to see as often, so always a bit different here for these teams, and it does require a bit of strategic ingenuity as well. It is the newest sort of map to enter back into, so I think it's fair to say that there's still a little bit of feeling out being done here, though certainly as opposed to where it was earlier, teams are much more comfortable with this setup. Surf Academy coming out here on the attacking side, starting off with the bands. Looks like we might have a little bit of problem there with the feed, so we will peel back to our beautiful faces here for a second, Stick. They just can't get away from us today, I tell you what.
No, they certainly can't. As far as this game, I'm going to go back and figure out how Revenge Nation have looked on this map so far, just to get a bit of a comparison as terms of how well they've played and what maybe their habits are, you could say, on the map so far. You have the Nomad ban. Firstly, here from Revenge Nation, as we do have one player jumping back in. Thankfully, the game will go on without too much of a fuss. So, the Nomad ban, does that shock you at all?
No, not at all. It's very standard, I think, on Chalet, right? You use that to close off certain rotates. I mean, you think about maybe the basement rotate is a big one that a lot of defenders will like to use. They'll kind of go down, come back up. Okay. My mic apparently is having serious issues, so I'm going to have to try and figure that out, Stick, so I'll just turn it over to you for a second.
All right, you'll get to hear from Stick a little bit longer. Here we've got Valkyrie, who is banned, and the final one, let's see who it is. Is it Mira? It is Mira. She does get taken out there by Surf Academy. We're going to set ourselves up in a situation where you don't have that Mira come through, and you won't see her set up in bar stock too seriously much, so hopefully that is going to give us a little bit more of kind of an even situation where the defense don't have any crazy advantages. The one thing to think about, Chalet is considered the one map that is actually attacker favored. So maybe we'll see a little bit more of a different game compared to Clubhouse. If you're thinking about that last match, which had just a crazy percentage of defense wins, the attack could rarely get their foot in the door. I think they closed out that game, only 3 attack rounds won at all.
Well, that is something to take into account here as the 6th pick coming off of Montaigne there. Not necessarily surprising.
Got
The
Bar
6th pick
Gaming
coming
here.
off there on the Mountain. Not particularly surprising, Stick. It's just been a day of technical issues, I tell you what. I'm trying my best not to just ram my head through my monitor right now, as it were, but I'd have to buy a new one, and that would be, I think, relatively annoying. So we'll go ahead and look at Chalet instead, but no surprises, really. I think these are pretty standard defensive and attacking setups, right? This is nothing big, and a lot of the action here are going to be focused on that top floor. Stick. That's usually where we see the fight going down. This hold for Library Hallway with that shield you see set up there, usually kind of the main point of contention.
Right, this is pretty much the fulcrum of all of these defenses in the way that they go. You don't really deviate too much from this strategy. A lot of times, the offense have to make this fairly clear-cut decision. Are we going to actually go up and push through this roam, or are we going to, work around it a little bit? And the one thing, now that we've actually gotten into the game, is Modelo is playing for Surf. I had no idea that he was on the Surf roster, but Modelo is a huge player. So to have him, and you combo that with Pinto, I'm starting to feel the energy here for Surf a little bit more.
Yeah, it's entirely possible. Get some good players out there, get some talent out there. Maybe it does make a difference. It's hard to say sometimes, but we'll see what they can do. Modella taking that long sightline down from the tub as Trevmac opens up some windows, I think, leading into Solarium there. A little bit of droning going out as well. Vans is playing tight on the spot, and Modelo's just going to fall back here. Take some damage. Not really a lot of choice in the matter. Goes all the way back to Library, which is a long rotate, all things considered, but again, just kind of under pressure from a lot of different directions. Nothing much to do. Skunky now pushing up on the low ground. Sail is in this general area as well. Going to go ahead and pop his drone. Throws a couple of shots in through the soft wall, but can't find anything. And that will just be kind of a holding pattern here, at least momentarily, for the defenders.
Oh, I gotta love this little bulletproof camera there hidden in the bookshelf, and they can't manage to break it. Shatter the glass. Spotting anyone else there on the window. Flores drone will detonate. I actually think that has just managed to get rid of the shield. Full confirmation in a second. Yeah, it has. So no more deployable cover there at the top of the staircase, but that's not really the entire situation dealt with. Big guy will bring out the Gon 6 as he prepares to shoot it off, just waiting for the moment. This could be for ADS burn. Maybe they're trying to dislodge this bullet from the top of the main staircase area. Kills him with a little bit of a spam shot in through the window. Spots to Jaeger, not able to capitalize or garner that kill, but Pinto tries to go aggro, tries to run out the window, but shows the Bill serve him his justice.
Trevmac just continuing to fire right there. The power of the LMG with its 100-round magazine being clearly demonstrated. That is the new go-to gun for Zofia mains everywhere. Not a lot of choice after the recent nerfs. You'll see Skunky managing to get a kill. That's Modelo down. So Revenge Nation in a pretty good position of 3v5. Big guy firing some shots. Adds one more. That's Stale. Caught looking at the top of the basement stairs. Corn does get one back the other direction. But really, it's just the Wamai and the smoke here. Not a lot going on for the two of them. Going to be a bit of a difficult situation. Vans is forced to use yet another Toxic Babe canister to push through.
Ooh, what a snatch there from Vans. Time is so low. Trevmac will fight one off from the vertical game. It's up to Corn. He's playing from inside mud. The offense is going to have to jump down and begin to plant the case. It's Kenny from behind the bar. Corn, I don't think he has the audio cue. Try to move forward, but in the meanwhile, that's all the pressure mounting up, and Big Guy will close it out there from the long haul position, making sure that clutch does not go anywhere crazy for the defending Wamai. So we go next to round number 2.
Yeah, it's a bit of a matchup right there, I will say. Kitchen Dining is the point to go back to now, and we'll see what they can do on this setup. This is one of those sites that's been a little bit different in terms of how teams are handling it. You'll see the Frost coming out here. That's probably to do a little bit of work around Solarium. You also see a Frost mat maybe slammed down in Trophy a lot of the time there as well, just looking to maybe catch the unwary, trying to come in through the window there on the kitchen side. It does work sometimes, but it's not a guarantee. And they've got 2 shields though in this setup. Actually, 3 shields, I should say. They have brought Alibi here in that bottom slot. I mean, it's a lot of shields. That's a lot of defensive options. Teams will often choose to go for kind of a second floor hold here, right? Stick. A lot of teams like to do. Very akin to the other first floor point in that you really do have to try and deny the verticality. So up here in the master bedroom suite and in the office is where some teams will choose to set up, but a little bit of a lack of interest, I will say, on the side of Surf Academy so far with only 10 seconds left. They do have Pinto up there, could potentially slam a shield down and make this a little bit easier. At least they will have an alibi up there that they can monitor, and you can sort of see the defensive setup and what they expect to be the key pressure points here just by the way that these shields are being deployed on top of Piano and then over there in the office.
Revenge Nation have really got just about 1, 2, or 4 every possible task that they might find themselves sitting up against. We've got some active droning from Big Guy on the Iana, flank drone positioning from the Argus cams of Skunky on the 0. Trevmac bringing a bit of a soft destruction punch, and then lastly Chosen and Kenny doubling up for some hard breach should they need to get any of the walls open. I imagine they'll probably set their sights on the mezzanine wall first and foremost, as you gotta get that one open before you make really much substantial progress in clearing out this extension from above. Skunky just charging in from the game side, getting all of his cams set up, making sure that the defense are being watched, not being allowed to sneak in at the fringe or approach really the edge of the control. Candaces on the Ella, which is actually a bit more of a shot operator, not one that we see in many compositions in the recent days. Corn over to rotate there. Lucky to get out. Pinto not having that same rep that's put in his pocket.
Bands now pushed up into Piano will kind of just be in that general area on the Ella. Kenny going to come straight in through the front door here and go to work on the wall. Nothing really to stop him from doing that either. By the looks of it, is more than happy to just open up those holes. And the X-Kairos will not kind of be denied in that spot. Trev Mac 2 trying to apply that vertical pressure as best they can. And the jump out comes out from Stale, takes some damage jumping through the window, unfortunately doesn't secure the kill. I don't know if they downed Big Guy there or not, but Big Guy is down and will need to be revived. And unfortunately, Big Guy had that diffuser, I think, in that general area as well. Kenny gonna go ahead and grab that and begin the push back in here as, again, those X-Kairos holes and the holes the defenders opened up as well, both contributing to some real headaches here for Modelo, who does get gunned down by Skunky.
Sizable impact off the back of that pick. Reduced the manpower from Surf, and Skunky will tag on for another kill. Second of the round, Kenny will begin to plant the case, and Korn tries to work forward. Coming up with the Ella. Kenny should be out of the woods by now, but look at that from Bands! Fires off. Kenny, Skunky down, Chosen fighting back, and Trevmac will seal the deal there with a little bit of an assist play from up above on the vertical, making sure that Ella does not have any serious highlight potential. With the case down inside of Dining, we'll step to round number 3 as Revenge Nation have collected the opening 2.
Yeah, it's Revenge Nation looking pretty solid right now. It is worth pointing out that Chalet is one of the few maps, or perhaps even the only map these days, in the competitive Siege roster that does kind of, you know, in the main, let's say, favor the attacker, right? It is known that this is actually the only attacker-sided map, so that may be giving a little bit of a momentum to Revenge Nation here. Surf Academy, though, just looks like they're struggling a little bit to adapt to these things that Revenge Nation is bringing into play. A lot of pressure being applied in a lot of different spots, and, I mean, it's hard for defenders in that situation. There are a lot of fires to put out here. You don't necessarily know where you need to go first, right? You definitely got an idea of what you want to do in terms of your defensive setups, but I mean, it's easier said than done. Now, this is a bit of an interesting one because they've gone back to our gaming site, which is where you're going to want to have that shield up holding that library hallway, but they have chosen not to bring Wamai, who is very usually brought on this specific site and kind of this specific defense to provide projectile denial as the player who is down by that shield at the top of the stairs. Without him, though, you're relying solely on the two ADSs. It does make it very easy to take down, and, you know, I guess you can kind of say that it's a bit of a moot point because Chosen is on the Flores here, but still a bit of an interesting defensive setup choice, I will admit.
Finally managed to just quickly jump back to the last match that we have from Revenge Nation on the map of Chalet. They played a 3-3 attack half against Overture Gaming, so split it down the middle there, and they took the match away with a 4-2 defense system, so it gives them a fairly solid amount of power moving into this game, knowing that they have been successful on the defense before, but Surf Academy and Overture Gaming, if you compare those two teams, it is a one-sided situation. But look at this. Revenge Nation are absolutely on top of their game. Corn, Pinto, and Modelo all finding themselves scarce here as it's stale in bands, but the Frost is taken down as Kenny will challenge for the 1-versus-1, and what a tempo in that round.
Oh man, Revenge Nation just all over them. They're a weighted blanket. You just can't get up from underneath them. They just enveloped Surf Academy right there, and the gunfire just not ever really stopping, and it was quick. It was almost surgical from the side of Revenge Nation, the way they came in and just sort of finished that off, and Surf Academy just reeling right now after 3 body blows worth of rounds. And at what point in time, I was going to say, at what point in time do you go up and try Master Bedroom or something just to get yourself off of that first floor and go somewhere else for a little bit? And they will do that here. They're going back up to Master Bedroom, and you will see the Malusi making an appearance. Well, mine will be coming out here, but again, Chosen remains capable of bringing Flores into the action, and Flores is a very powerful operator. He's got a lot going for him in terms of sound destruction, and he is going to render certain gadgets here on the defensive side largely kind of irrelevant, namely the Volcons, right, are just easily destroyed by a competent Flores player, and also to a certain extent those Malusi Banshees as well. They're kind of living on borrowed time here. It's obviously much easier to destroy them now than it used to be, Stick, but they're still living on borrowed time because those Ranteros will come sailing in from whatever direction and get RC. Those are the 2 key targets they're going to be looking for in this setup to really clear some space here and allow Revenge Nation to kind of get in and practice this Stormtrooper style aggression that they really like.
Surf Academy need to find something here. Need to kind of take a step back and speak amongst the team to solve a couple of key issues. That last round was just a myriad of problems all working together. Korn has got the opening. He'll get Skunky. Was that just through the garage wall? I don't know how he managed to work that pick, but you take down the Zero, which is huge. Killing the Zero before he gets a chance to set up. There is very few operators in Siege that do that much off the back of a pick like that. Maybe thinking to a Nomad would probably have similar effects. Chosen trades out one. Trebmac fires back against Korn, so they get Skunky. They shut down him and all his Argus hams, but they lose 2 defenders in the meanwhile because they just cannot decide to give up the garage control. They hold downstairs for too long, and Revenge Nation circle the wagons and capture the hold.
It's tragic in a way because you took down the clear kind of roam denial op, right? Which is what you bring the 0-4 here when you're lacking the Nomad, but you can't really take advantage of the flanks. And part of it is because you continue, like you said, Stick, to just be too aggressive down there in the basement. You just fought too hard, you dug in too much, you over-invested, and you gave a really competent squad like Revenge Nation time to just pick you apart. And Oh, it's Pinto as well. Modelo taken out from the window, not even watching that angle. That's the freest kill Big Guy has had in a long while. And now everything here on the back of Stale, who is trapped in an unenviable position, is stunned out, manages to swing and get chosen, but Kenny just pops the corner and trades the kill easy as you please. I think they full-on hip-fired that. Just a gangland-style execution right there at the doorway of Pietro.
Gosh, I don't want to deride Revenge Nation because this win is just as much about them playing well as, you know, how Surf are having a bit of trouble here in the early game, but 4-0 is fairly impressive, and these rounds are being won by wide margins. None of these has really been very close so far. We haven't had really rounds that even follow really any real meter. There's such a deafening momentum from Revenge Nation. They are deciding how each of these rounds go, and Surf are kind of letting them do that a little bit. With how aggressive they're being, that's such a capable pick to shut down the zero, to take down Skunky. But then you have 2 players die, Korn and Bands give up their life. And now all of the reward, the treasure that you get from shutting down Skunky is reduced, largely because when Korn and Bands are dead, Revenge Nation see that as, we killed 2 players on the roam. How many more are going to be on the roam? Probably none, because you have to hold back. In the 3 versus 4, you're going to be playing on the site. You're not going to be sending somebody away to roam as well. That's going to just put yourself at too much weakness. And so Revenge Nation, they kind of just get to skate by, and not to mention there was one Surf defender who was trying to play close, you know, to the site. He was roaming a tiny bit, so just lurking, but he got found out as well by Trapman. So now you're in a 4 versus 2.
Yeah, it's been part of it. I mean, it's a good kill right there by Bands. It wasn't really on. It's Kenny who's taken down that time, so the hard breach is effectively removed right here for all that that's worth. But, I mean, Revenge Nation have kind of been clinical in their application of violence, right? It's just the way it's been going so far. They're really doing a good job of kind of almost scripting out these kills. And like you said, you know, they're playing this very well, despite kind of not going up maybe against opponents of their caliber. They're also just continuing to do the proper things. And some of these kills where they've kind of obviously gone into comms and plotted out exactly how they wanted to do it, it speaks very highly of their abilities. But, you know, you've lost 2 early on here. Chosen and Kenny are down. So while we've been singing their sort of sympathetic phrases, unfortunately for them, Surf Academy has really put the boot in. Bands does get the tree back. Modelo gets it. Revenge Nation now is in a 3v1 with a very low health Skunky. And all of a sudden, all that momentum just fades away, and there's the final kill comes swinging in. The long rotate up from Trophy through Solarium. Catches Skunky looking in the back.
Well, there we go for Surf Academy. Is finally they will find the opener and convert off the back of that advantage as their kills stack up more and more. I think it was a good trick play from Revenge Nation, you know, realizing that they probably weren't going to be able to execute that round in a normal fashion. So they try to go a little bit quick, a little bit witty with how they push in. They send Trebmac to come in from the, I want to say that was the bathroom window. They have somebody repel in big window. They just try to kind of take all of these different areas of pressure and explode into the site to see if they can get any shock value, but Surf are able to kind of work that off. They've seen that situation go before, and so they are prepared in order to prevent it from stealing out another round, and it's a pretty valuable for Surf, who starts to kind of heat up. If they can get another one off the back of this, now that's going to serve a pretty critical blow to Revenge Nation, who looked like they just had this insurmountable force behind them.
Yeah, I mean, it is a blow, and Revenge Nation, you know, won't get away with this one scot-free, right? But I don't know if this necessarily indicates we're seeing Surf Academy on a run back. They had one good round. They're
going to need some more.
They're going to need a lot more good rounds. They're going to need a whole change of wins. This is going to be a complete sea change if they want to get through this. They've only got, what, 2 more defensive rounds left? Another defensive round after this? No, this is it. So you're really in a deep deep water at this point in time for them, and it's going to take some big old swims to get you out of here. But, I mean, it's good. It shows that they have the capability, right, to fight. It's not all of them just kind of getting rolled, and, I mean, I'm sure it's good for their morale. Modelo losing their life early on here would not, by the way, be good for morale. I appreciate the effort there, Stick. I appreciate the thought that, hey, I'll get him with a cheesy explosive, but I don't think that was going to work in 1,000 years, let's be honest.
Yeah, that is definitely a certified Modelo moment there in round number 6 as he tries to launch his nitro out, puts his gun barrel out of the window, poking around. Does not get any kills, though. So, Revenge Nation still looking for their entrance. Hard to really find where their focus is going to be so far. Kind of just lost at the moment, maybe just looking for some kills off the rappel. Drown things out. Big guy will begin to force in. Comes into Solarium. Long angle being played by Trevmac as well, just sort of suppressing the bathroom. Make sure to shoot your defaults, ladies and gentlemen. Big guy will take his out. Moves forward. Pinto trapped in this position, trying to play from over by Ivy. Corn is working his way forward as well, but you need to be careful with some of these long angles. Corn, I think, was a bit distracted, perhaps, and Kenny will open up. Does get the entry pick here. Surf have got to get this round going, otherwise the second half just so difficult. Kenny is really making Surf work for it here.
Yeah, Kenny drilling those shots. Beautiful stuff coming out from the Hibana. Band's still up here on the top floor. I mean, Pinto is in a good position to kind of strike as well, right? These aren't necessarily bad spots for defenders to be in, but you've got to wonder what they can make of it. And I guess what they can make is a kill on Kenny and a kill on Skunky. Unfortunately, they'll lose 2 in the process. Chosen comes in, and neither of those kills were finished off, and Chosen just ends the round. Oh my lord, Revenge Nation just look like absolute paragons of siege on this Chalet map.
Is that their second or third flawless round of the map so far?
I want to say second?
Feels like second. Revenge Nation has... Let's go with our guts there, yeah. I mean, this is the Revenge Nation that we know so far. Surf Academy having a difficult first half. I think Modelo maybe still having a bit of trouble getting used to this team. The way that Surf played on their defense was a little bit uncooperative for my liking. I think they could have done with a little bit more teamwork there, and perhaps they would have escaped with more rounds, but now as we step into the I just totally tripped over my words. As we step into the second half, it's up to Revenge Nation to make sure that they have got their playbook going here and that they don't let this game get out of control or for Surf to build up any amount of rounds. We talked about this 2 or 3 times so far. Generally, Chalet is a little bit more approachable for the offense, and the defenders don't have a lot of leeway, a lot of slack in the line. But I honestly, I don't think that's enough of a get-out-of-jail-free card for Surf Academy, who are trailing by 4 rounds.
No, I mean, realistically, it's probably not. You know, I don't want to belittle them because they're serious competitors and they don't deserve that. But it's been a rough match. They've made some mistakes. They haven't been winning their ones. Their positioning has been a little bit questionable at times, and Revenge Nation has just consistently punished every single tiny thing that they can. They're just not to be played with. They're not a squad that cannot be trifled with, and they're showing it quite clearly here. We'll see what Surf can continue to do. I mean, they might be able to pull another round win off here. I wouldn't say that's impossible. The rush just coming straight out into the site. This is a very desperate strategy right here. This is what you do if you don't think you can win it any other way, and it just might work out, at least temporarily. No, we're back to a 3-3. Revenge Nation doing their best to level this one out. Korn there does manage to secure a kill, and they will get the plan down, but they still have to contest with Big Guy and Trevback. Big Guy will go down. That's Bant who gets that. Now Trevback drops into the hot seat here. The diffuser has been planted.
Got the Scorpion. We all know what that gun can come through, but Korn is going to monster the Ella inside of games. First round in what feels like a long time here for Surf, as they will finally earn their second and start to get a little bit of something going for them. Not a complete shutout so far, but they deny Revenge Nation from moving up to match point, which is a huge thing here, as you shorten the lead and you restrict Revenge Nation's ability to bear down on you with that pressure. I think, honestly, for me, Surf made the right call there with the rush. They just went in. They knew that Revenge Nation were maybe, not so well prepared for it. And to be honest with you, sometimes on Chalet, it's the rush plays that work. I've seen some matches where you just got to kind of buckle down and say, let's not deal with all this defender setup. And it's a point I referenced earlier in the game. Most importantly, when you are talking about Barn Gaming, sometimes rushing the site is the call to make because you don't want to deal with that whole extension on the top floor.
Yep.
And, all of the responsibility that goes into needing to clear that out.
Like, I see it as a desperation strategy, and I'll stand by that. Like, that's a team that doesn't feel confident or comfortable clearing out the defense in the traditional way. But just because it's a defensive strategy or a desperate strategy doesn't mean that it's a bad one. I mean, it worked. It was well executed. If there hadn't been some Revenge Nation kind of orbiting in that general area, if they'd been a little bit more widely spread, I actually don't think that they really would have been able to do much against that at all, because realistically, Surf Academy played that pretty well once they got that plant down and kind of went into defensive posturing. So a lot of credit to them for executing that. I did say that they could, pull another round or two out of the hat, and I think they demonstrated it right there. But I mean, consistency is key, right? You don't win off of just one go, and you're not going to be able to pull that out again. I just don't think anything's going to fall for the rush the second time. Modelo here trying to get some shots on the long side of the game's window, but really it's just ultimatory fire at the end here, Stick. They're going to have to try and take a library by the looks of it if they want to push down in, at least get some vertical pressure on them.
Having the lion pick in here from Pinto, an operator that we do see a decent amount of time on Chalet, because you got to lock down those defender positions. It's fairly easy to, off the back of the EE1D, just capitalize. Here's the first call to come out, locking defenders in position, but it doesn't look like Surf really chased forward much off the back of that. As I say that, though, it's Stale who takes that F2, and Modelo just rushes in, shuts down Big Guy, but taking some auxiliary fire from Chosen. Mans is ready for the trade, though, and so the man advantage is preserved, and Surf Academy have got a serious thing going for them here. Not the rush in the second time around, but a very assertive push into Library, making sure that Revenge Nation know they are not welcome here on this top floor, pushing them out, forcing them back to the site below.
Oh, some vigorous Surf and some high tide rolling in. At the moment, Surf Academy is dominant on this attack, and they will continue to do so, getting those vertical hatches open, giving them something to deal with. The drop down coming here, and the ping coming out from the Lion, just giving them more intel. They've got the soft ping here as well, maybe trying to shut down one of the defenders in the general area, and that's Skunky who gets caught looking in the hallway. And there's the other kill, Surf Academy, with a really impressive round to swing back here into their opponents. And Revenge Nation, okay, I didn't say the first time that Revenge Nation needs to start worrying, but you need to put out this fire before it goes any bigger, Stick. Let me just put it at that.
Yeah, I've seen blazes like this one really go out and engulf teams, so Revenge Nation, time to get it over the line here. You got to come into this next round with a real game plan. Master bedroom and office, they realize that, maybe that gaming site is just not working out for them. Surf have kind of maybe started to figure out the chemistry here a little bit, started to really leverage Modelo, who had a fairly decent impact with how he pushed in from the Library. Made sure to shut down that player top main. In a situation like that, generally, the way that you would go about that would be, to send all of this utility forward. But if Modelo is winning his ones, he is definitely somebody who can fear. Modelo is that type of player. We saw it when he was on the Cade earlier. Modelo is a Terminator. Does not have any fear whatsoever. Sometimes he gets the better of him. But maybe now that he's on his namesake Ash, it's Modelo time.
He has no fear. you know, fear is good sometimes. It does prevent you from doing silly things, right? To a certain extent. But, I mean, I agree. He's pretty dominant when he gets his steam up. And that's something that I think Revenge Nation does have to worry about. Now, I definitely think Revenge Nation still remains kind of the strongest team here, but I really appreciate that Surf Academy is fighting this one back. They're not going quietly into the night here. They're giving them as good as they can on these points, and we'll see what they do on this one. Modelo actually flanking all the way back over to the top side. You got somebody on the balcony outside as well, so setting up a little bit of pitch right here. Modelo's just gonna start banging in doors. Corn on the other side doing the same thing, so some real aggressiveness coming out here from Surf Academy, wasting no time at all. They're gonna dump the drone in just so they know and can confirm that Frost Trap is there. There's a bit of a cattywampus sort of defense because they're forced back into some angles they don't like as Corn picks up a kill onto Trevmac to start things off.
A valuable opener. We'll see two struck back there from Revenge Nation, but Surf respond with a bash. He's got the shotgun here. Big guy being chased out. Sends the nitro. Having some difficulty here. Both players potatoing, but Stale is just gonna go for it with the melee. Surf Academy. Is this just a completely different team?
What happened? Like, what did they do? This is like when you're watching the Olympics and you see that guy who's like hanging at the back of the pack of runners, and then suddenly they come around the last like 100 meters or whatever and they just take off, and you're like, oh my god, they could do that the whole time. You know, they just got all that speed built up inside of them. Absolutely crazy. I don't genuinely, that was crazy. I don't even really know what happened on that round. That was just a sudden explosion of death and violence, and Surf Academy come up on the other side. And again, all credit to them. They're fighting back hard, and they're in position to tie this up. And Revenge Nation, from a kind of morale sort of, you know, standpoint, this has got to be terrifying. You're wondering what's happened. So the guys you were beating up on just a second ago, they've got a lot of bite left.
Surf are definitely done with this game yet. We just talked about Modelo. He had a really shocking round there. 2 picks. Already working to better his stat line so far, trying to drop, you know, how difficult of a game he played on the first start to improve that a little bit here. This is a fairly pivotal round. Do Surf tie it up? Or does Revenge Nation, after 3 struggling rounds, finally say, no, Surf, put you in your place, and we're going to go to match point? This game has some serious potential here to really run the gauntlet if Revenge Nation don't step up, acknowledge what's gone wrong so far, and, you know, say that this is our match. Let's start acting like it.
It's theirs to lose at this point in time, right? Like, that's what we're looking at here. They should be able to close this out. But Surf Academy is just not letting them do it. They're just fighting and not letting go, like a snapping turtle at this point in time. And, you know, Revenge Nation trying to shake them loose, and they just can't. So, you know, the thing is, any round could be the round, right? Where Revenge Nation is suddenly like, okay, we're just going to end this one now. It's just a matter of what round will it be. It could be this one, truth be told, but that's a good way to start off there by Trevmac, just capping Modelo coming around the corner. A little bit of inadequate droning right there, and Modelo gets dragged. Trevmac goes back out and gets another one on the Corn, so Trevmac making a little bit of a statement here.
Trying to be the one to fight back here. They might have gotten him trapped, though. You definitely sense it, but Trevmac is going huge! He just cannot be taken down. Unstoppable quantity. Trevmac is really the best here. But he won't get it. Not enough to secure the 4th. The vertical angle shuts down 1. It's only bands left. Looking like Revenge Nation have started to kind of get this game around the horn to put it on a match point, which would guarantee that at least we go to overtime if Surf Academy can shock the odds here in rounds 11 and 12. What's the play here for Bands? As he's got 70 seconds, full HP, full utility, the AK-12. What you need to do here is you need to use whatever drones are left, which Bands has got 2 of the 3 remaining, and you need to work some good picks, but that might be the way to go about it here. The time, though, is it enough to get these last 3 remaining? Surely Revenge Nation are going to work together, you know, with Big Guy having 3 smoke canisters left. This is just... The route back into this round for Bands is very treacherous.
That's one way of putting it. It's definitely treacherous. That is very true. Bands here throws out the Soma, gonna go ahead and take down that shield on top of Piano, and is just, you know, waiting for the smoke to clear like a responsible citizen before pushing his way in here. Still got plenty of enemies to defeat, and it won't happen because Big Guy, waiting on the floor, just punches a dinner plate sized hole right in his chest. Unfortunate. And is that it? Is Surf Academy's run back? Is that the end stick? Is it done and dusted?
I think the court is still out on that question. Revenge Nation get match point, but you know, where do you draw that round from being Revenge Nation surging back to, you know, maybe just Trevmac surging back? Maybe that was just Trevmac having a really solid round where he shuts down Modelo, who's been that super entry. And then he starts to kind of get more and more and more, and they could only finally nail him down after he got 3. Perhaps there isn't another round that Trevmac has got left in the gas tank like that one where he collects a 3-piece and his teammates are just left in this position where they don't really have the responsibility of defeating Surf at full strength. The other 4 members of Revenge Nation are left against a severely underpowered opponent.
That is true. That is true. It was a lot of Trevmac. Trevmac was not locked in that garage with them. They were locked in there with Trevmac for sure. But I mean, it could be that round again. It could be Trevmac popping off. It could be another member of this Revenge Nation squad. I mean, let's be honest. All of them are pretty much primed. The pump is ready for any of them to step up into that slot. Surf Academy definitely making some interesting choices. Nook, always fascinating to see a Nook in play. And well, you never know. Maybe it's the secret sauce that will propel them through, though odds say probably not. Still a bold choice here when you're on match point, and you're going back to at least a bomb site that you should be relatively familiar with by this point in time in the match. Still, all the pressure on Surf Academy. Revenge Nation just needs to hold the line and do what they do best, which is win. And that's not a good start. Skunky taken down there early on by Modelo, playing that games room window.
Gosh, I don't know when Revenge Nation are just going to realize that they need to stop taking these 50-50 gunfights with Modelo when he is in the zone. Not a great position to be in. Modelo will be taken out now by Trevmac's Nitro. Well, that's twice now that Modelo will fall to Trevmac's superior game sense, I guess you could say, or just his play so far. Another Nitro sent. This time will not claim the life of an attacker. We'll have the Lion scan come through. Corner reverse repel, searching for any defenders who might pop their heads up. The Jaeger, a little bit too over-aggressive there for Big Guy. All he needed to do was hold his position. Now you've given some extra credence over to Surfside.
Another one. That's Stale, who's cleaning up a kill. The Nook secures a death, strangely enough. And another one coming in. Chosen is down. Stale does get traded out. Kenny there on the response, but now it's all Kenny all the time. He's got 3 members of Surf Academy here to deal with in this House of Horrors, and he is not going to be able to do it. Pinto there to secure the kill on the Lion. Poor people from Revenge Nation are driven even closer to the break here. Surf Academy just not giving up.
Gosh, you got to imagine the whiplash at home for Revenge Nation fans who are just, you know, maybe tuning into this match through the first half. There was an easy game. No, you know, nerves at all for them as Revenge Nation go 5-1. And then round number 7, games, it's a rush. Surf pick it up. I imagine, you know, people in the RN camp are probably just thinking to themselves, it's a rush. You know, sometimes rounds like that just kind of explode. And then, you know, they do the repeat. Revenge Nation try to correct the record by going to games again. And well, it doesn't work out that second time because of the library push and Modelo championing as the, you know, the spear point, and then Office collected as the third.
attackers.
as Surf Academy look to make this, an even and fair game. At 5-1 half in the first of this one, quarterback could we be looking at a 5-1 half in the second split.
We could be looking at that. I mean, like you said, Surf Academy, they've been on a heater. The Rocky music turned on, and they just have been pounding forward this entire time. And I mean, they did lose that one round, right? And they bounced right back and picked up the next one. So they're not down at all. They have not been getting beat. They just been getting bad. And we'll see. I mean, Revenge Nation needs to shut this down. It's well within their capabilities. I've been saying that for like 3 or 4 rounds now. Like, you just got to end this. You know that you can. But I think that they might be just, like you said, they might be just a little shell-shocked still, honestly. I just don't think they expected this severe, considering the absolute drubbing that they were placing on Surf Academy's head. I don't think they expected a snapback quite like that.
No, I definitely think they might have underestimated their opponents. How does Surf just find those kills? Vans walks right up to the doorway in the office. And he gets Trevmac too. Probably the most substantial player for Revenge Nation. That is pretty... That's tough. That is really tough for Revenge Nation to lose out on Trevmac. To not have anything else you can do. Somebody is running out, chasing Modelo. It'll be Kenny with the finisher move. There's a defender outside of the big garage. The Corn doing some work there. Chosen has gotten back inside the building, back to the rest of the team. 3 versus 4. Surf Academy, they have the man advantage, and the health is so good for them. They have plenty of intel still that they can work with. 1 remaining Dokkaebi calls. 2 Lion scans. Smokes. Flashes, grenades. Hard breach. Surf have a lot that they can do here in this moment to suppress Revenge Nation, to keep them down on themselves. And if they can, combine that utility and execute with it against their opponents, it's going to mean overtime and the possibility of a win coming back to Surf fans.
Well, I mean, this is sweaty. This is like sweat lodge sweaty at the moment. Like, oh my lord. Somebody put too much heat in the sauna sweaty for Revenge Nation, because they just should not be in this position. So they're going to have to fight this one out as best they can. And I don't know. I think we're going to overtime. I'll be honest with you. I think we're going to see it, but I won't discount Revenge Nation just yet. Corn there firing in off the gun. 6 trying to get some utility down. Big guy is dropped though, and down and then out. Vans gets that one. Chosen gets the pick back in the other direction though. Tries to keep it even, but here's Corn surging in to get the other one, and Corn shuts it down. And from a 1-5 deficit, they have dragged their way back into overtime. This is phenomenal from Surf Academy.
Yeah, this is not the game that coming into this, I think we really expected. Not overtime. Hello, Revenge Nation? What is going on here? Dueling 5-1 halves here on Chalet in week number 4. Revenge Nation have the double defense, so that gives Surf such an advantage that they get 2 attack opportunities where they have looked statistically here, Corbdeck, infinitely better. That's gotta be a bit of a, that's, I don't know if Revenge Nation can come back into this game. They are an impressive team. They've got experience on their side. Trevmac, big guy, been around forever. And they really need to be the voice of reason here. They've got to find some play here on their defense that's gonna get them a win on the board. Because to be honest with you, Cormac, I think this first round will decide it. Whoever wins this, I think probably goes on and 8-6 is it.
I actually don't disagree with you. I think that's entirely possible. The way that momentum has been such a huge factor in this matchup. But yeah, I don't know if Revenge Nation has it in them either. I mean, I think they're a really good team. We've been singing the praises throughout this match, and deservedly so, but they have got to be boomed. Like, this has got to be booming, right? You've got to be looking at one another just like, what is going on? This is not the script at all. Is it unwinnable? No. Is it a situation that you didn't expect to be in? Yes, 100%. I don't think there are anybody out there who would have said that Surf Academy was going to drive this into overtime against this Revenge Nation team. But this is where really good teams are tested, right? Unexpected situations, the worst possible scenario, really, for you as a squad. This is how you prove yourself and how you show that you deserve to be named alongside some of the big boys of the scene down here. This is the kind of round that you have to win, the kind of match that you have to win. So a lot of pressure on them as Modelo is already here.
No way. Modelo is in. He's at the half wall. Oh, but Kenny just saves it there. That could have been disaster if Modelo had made that play work. He tries to walk in, and well, there's a clear opportunity of a time where Modelo's fear does not help him out too much, or his lack of fear, I should say. The round cracking on. You've lost the Ash. Your soft destruction bank ran a little bit dry here, but an angle from Pinto out on the Ego balcony. Big guy, the smoke taken down. You lose out on your canisters. Just to remind you at home, the upset this game would be currently in the standings. Revenge Nation are the only team in their group yet to have lost a game, and Surf Academy are almost dead last. Currently a -7 round differential to Revenge Nation's +7. This game would mean huge things for Surf, and we'll just have to see how it does end up with being fighting close to the door as the time cracks on further and further.
Well, it's about a minute left here. Stale does have some competition in this area. Cannot count that out. Corn here rotating into Solarium. Skunky is down a trophy, has no idea Corn is there. As Stale manages to win their fight, Chosen is down. Skunky's now playing back, looking at the stairs, but it's Stale again. The tactical rifle coming in big. Skunky's down. Kenny working the pig, trying to come back on it, but he can't because Pinto is there to finish him off. And Surf Academy has just surged into this, an absolute tidal wave.
Match point here in OT for Surf. Revenge Nation are against the grind wheel here if they cannot pull out this round, with so much of this game looking like Revenge Nation were in the driver's seat, and now Surf having overtaken them. And despite some very rough early game woes for Surf Academy, they have completely gone to recover in what has been a slingshot of form. Now to stand above Revenge Nation, all they need to do is win this one defense. And you think back to the last time Surf have won a defense, it was on this very objective.
Okay, Surf has not been very solid on the defense. If there's a saving grace here, this is the opportunity for Revenge Nation to push this one up again. But then you have to put Surf on an attack where Surf has looked so dominant. But I think you were right when you said whoever won that last round's going to win it all. I think Surf just puts this one to bed. Just absolutely puts the kibosh on anything the Revenge Nation can do. And Revenge Nation, their cage is rattled. You can tell by the way that they're playing this, that their cage is rattled. They are losing their one. That was something that was not happening at all in the early stages of this match, and suddenly they can't really seem to pull these gunfights out anymore. Stale there, gonna go ahead and throw up the evil eye, gets fed up trying to shove it into the shelf. It just won't work for him, so he'll put it next to it instead. A little less convenient, but it shouldn't be anything too bad. Trevmac here going to start with the assault on Library. They do have Flores. They've got a lot of destruction in this setup. A lot they can do with it. They cannot get overconfident. They cannot lose Chosen early on in particular. That would be absolute disaster. He must be very cautious in this position.
Nitro sent out, but it gets Chosen!
No!
You cursed him! And he's done for. What a play by Bands for the defense, which has had a terrible run of luck so far. That is just about the most catalog way that you can start off this round. You get the Flores. No more of his drones. No more RCEs. No more Chosen. This could be the big determiner here.
You can't even overstate how important that pick is just as an early pick. Like, it really is huge because that's so much soft destruction taken out here. That's really rough. I mean, they're doing a good job of getting some windows open here as well. Kenny's going to have maybe some sight lines in towards office, but I mean, you can see that they're paying out the shield right there, and that's where you want the Rotero. And I mean, Chosen was just, I think, a little too aggressive with his positioning. Still, Revenge Nation, they've got some good angles here, right? They've got some room to work with. They're droning out there. Modelo is playing up on this piano area. The smoke grenade out there early on, just causing some problems. Big guy trying to push up on the office door, has multiple enemies downwind of this position. Needs to be very careful taking those corner peaks. They're already down a man. Kenny's going to go ahead and even this one back up, though. They're going to stay in this stick. It is not over yet.
It's not. That's a huge bit of momentum to work back and get Modelo, who can, in certain moments, be that clutch potential player. And the gas canisters as well are going to ease the entry a little bit here to help Revenge Nation when eventually the time becomes too low and the bell tolls and it sounds off for Revenge Nation that they need to push in. When the alert goes out, bans will come off with the second. Now as Skunky is taken down as well, and Trebmac follows his bans. He's heating up in this round. For Surf Academy, Big Guy will strike back as Kenny's getting the case down. The Iana will try to play coverage, but she's flattened by Pinto. It's all left up to Kenny, and he gets taken out by bans! Surf Academy, 8-6, the comeback dream!
Kenny can't even stay in the lobby. He's left. The Revenge Nation team in absolute shock. This is an upset beyond all upset, ladies and gentlemen. I literally cannot even overstate this enough. Wow. That's spectacular. All props to Surf Academy. They just turned it on. They put on the gas. That last 100-meter dash, they did not slow down at all. And they surged past this Revenge Nation side and Chosen, Big Guy, Trebmac, Skunky, Kenny. They were just left looking in the dust, trying to figure out what happened as this team that they had so capably in hand just blows them away. That is spectacular siege right there.
Gosh, Surf have got to be feeling so good after this match. A huge win for them. Finally starting to get a little bit something more in their column, some extra momentum coming into the next week, and Surf badly needed that. It ties their record up 2-2, and it leaves every team in this conference, in the Raven group, as at least having lost one game. The close nature of this season cannot be understated. The competition level has ratcheted up like no other. And it just leaves you with, a want to know what's next. After that match, I'm sure Revenge Nation are going to be probably pretty pissed that they sold away that 5-1 lead. Their defense, they're going to be doing scrims double time. I'm sure of that.
Oh, they're going to be fit to be tied. That's gonna be, let's all sit, we gotta watch this VOD, we gotta figure out where things went wrong, and honestly I wish I could tell you where things went wrong better, because I just didn't even see that coming. I don't think anybody saw that coming, but my lord, I mean, on the side of Surf Academy, that's the kind of win that changes the season, that gives you momentum to just keep on trucking. Then you're gonna ride that wave right into your next matchup and just keep going, because you don't get them like that very often. I am stunned. I did swimming. I swam some laps earlier today in the pool. My heart was not racing as much as it was right there at the end, because I just can't even believe that Surf Academy turned that around. And wow, what a game, Stick. What a game.
I mean, that's probably the best game that we've casted all season. Just thinking about him. I mean, that was I was last night, I was looking at the schedule and I was like, I hope for a good game, because we've had some real matches that have been pretty decisive. We've had some teams who've been kind of lower in the conference, but this one, a team, frankly, that started off today in 7th position at 1-2 with a negative round differential, now escapes that tag as being down in 7th, and gets to say, when we showed up on game day, we took down the team that none of you other teams had been able to beat so far. And that's just huge. I've been there before. I've known what it's been like, and I'm sure for the folks on Surf right now, they're going to be ecstatic. I'll probably have to go talk with Modelo after this to see how he's feeling. But that's all from us tonight. I was wishing we would have another game here, but we don't. So you'll have to go home with just the two. It was a 7-5 in our earlier match on Clubhouse, and that 8-6, bit of a ratcheting game, and one that we'll all be looking back on from us here at Unified. Thank you for tuning in. It's been myself, Sticula, and Korvac. We're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, where Rainbow Six for Unified Premier will resume. Until then, farewell.